Hello, it's Aaliyah from the Song of the Winds. I hope you're doing really well. I'm not sure if the My Witchy History tag actually exists, or if this is just something that I have sort of created in my mind. But I thought it'd be really fun to talk about not just what people are doing now in their practice, but what books, what music, what experiences really set them on that path. And I thought that would be a really fun tag to do or to start. I'm not sure whether it exists or not, but I've got a massive stack of books here that have been absolutely crucial in pushing me on the path that I have gone in spiritually in my life, and I just wanted to share them with you today. So let's jump in. This is more of like a foundational book, not of magic or Wicca or witchcraft or anything like that, but foundational for me in the sense that it really sort of highlighted what I value in the world, and a more sort of simple life that I am drawn to. So it's actually this one. It's a natural beauty book. And this was my mother's. I'm not sure if she knows that I have it, but it was on the bookshelf pretty much for as long as I can remember when I was little, and I used to just like to pull out that book and sit down in the lounge room and flip through and just imagine making all of these you know, little potions and stuff. And I actually did make quite a few of them, and there's even some old post-it notes in there. See where I've sort of marked my favourite recipes. And I think I've made everything from like natural skincare to you know, hair rinses and shampoos and conditioner. There was a time there where I was using soap water decoctions as shampoo, and you know, mayonnaise and olive oil conditioning masks, and rosemary hair rinses and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, I just absolutely loved it. I was also really obsessed with gardening and herbalism around the time that I began to actually make the things that are in this book. So yeah, a lot of these weren't just like purchased ingredients. They were things that I had actually sourced the plant and had yeah, grown it in the garden at home. But it's just set out so beautifully. It really evokes just this sort of feeling of nostalgia that I don't know where it comes from. Like, I'm not sure if it's tapping into something from like a past life, or it's something that I secretly yearn for, to have a really, really simple life in the middle of nowhere, where if I want something I have to make it, you know. There's one picture of a woman in the bath that is just so evocative. I love it. Oh, and then it's also got recipes from herbal grimoires from the turn of the century. Oh, look at this one. I love this one. You see it? A little herb store. So a lot of people were inspired by this book. There's this book and a few others that I have that I ended up collecting later in life, but I didn't have them around this time, so that's why they're not included in this video, that inspired skincare companies to get started. So I think that's quite cool. You know, there was probably a lot of people that you know, started making products in their back shed, you know, based on the inspiration from this book. So that's just fantastic. Where is this bath picture? Oh, here it is. Look at that, with the little dog peeping in from the side. Oh, it's just the best, just the best. So yes, yeah, it's called Natural Beauty by Linda Horrocks, and I'm pretty sure it's a British book. Let's have a look. Oh, and the illustrations are by Marianne Yamaguchi. Yeah, it looks as if this was published in Australia in 1980 and originally published in the United Kingdom before that. Yeah, 1980. Oops, I dropped one. Yeah, this book made me really realise that I'm into natural stuff. I'm into all the things that come with the natural world. So I guess that leads me into my next book. My probably most foundational author of all time would be Scott Cunningham, and I'm sure I'm not alone with that. I'm sure there's a lot of people that really align with his works. And this is Magical Herbalism. Also has some post-it notes from when I've last used it. And it's got my name written on the inside, and it's in a kind of handwriting that I haven't used since I was in school. I pretty much block print now, and this is in very, very messy lowercase. And I like the illustrations in this. They remind me a lot of Linda Horrocks' Natural Beauty. Where's an example? I think there's a beautiful bathing one in here too. Yep. There we are. So gorgeous. Yes, so I've probably read this book 15, 20 times. I've tried a lot of things in here. I wouldn't say everything, but it's kind of like, you know how some people have got their sick day movie, where if they weren't feeling well, they've got a particular movie that they would watch. This is like my sick day book. You know, it makes me feel really, really good and inspired to read it. And there's even little lists on the inside where I've sort of ticked off, you know, herbs that I had in my collection. A decent enough collection, I think, at that time. Oh, I probably should put these books down. They're balancing on my lap and they're all just going to go tumbling. Okay, where's another example? I saw one earlier. Here we go. Bottled growing. Bottled growing. Bottled growing. Elder, dill, dragon's blood, fern, gardenia, geranium, garlic, frankincense, heliotrope, oh, hops, horehound, oh, I love horehound, hyssop, love that one. Yeah, anyway, I digress. But this is probably a big foundational book for me. So, unsurprisingly, Scott Cunningham's Wicca Guide for the Solitary Practitioner completely knocked around this book. Like, this does my little collecty brain in, but I actually have a second copy, which is in really good condition, but because this one was my working copy, because when I first initially began to explore earth-based spirituality, I sort of practiced Wicca to begin with, and yeah, I'm not quite so organised since then, but this was my working copy, so it's been written through and all sorts of stuff. But this is another book that I've read probably like 10-15 times. This book, yeah, I just love it, and it's even like dirty along, you know, the edge. It's been shoved in my bag and read on trains and buses and at home and used, and yeah, it makes me feel really good to go down that trip down memory lane. So another book by Scott Cunningham and also David Harrington that I really enjoyed, and I made a lot of stuff from this, was Spellcrafts. They had a second book that I read and used as much called, I think, Magical Home or Magical Household, and I've lent it to someone that I don't even know who, but obviously we sort of drifted apart or we're no longer friends. And don't you just hate it when that happens and someone keeps your book? Like, I think that's just one of the shittest things you can do, is to keep someone's book. Bloody hell. Yeah, I think there was another one actually that she kept. I'm pretty sure I know who it is. It's a real shame. It's a real shame. Some friendships just aren't meant to be. On that note, this kind of reminds me of Avalon Cameron from Avalon Spiritual Odyssey. She had something on her Facebook recently, like, what was a question for everyone, like, what stops you from joining a coven? You know, what's your sort of block, like, there? And my response is just that I've been so badly hurt by so many people that were into this kind of stuff, that I just don't think I could open myself up again to that kind of experience. You know, I just don't think I could really bear it to go wrong again. I think if you're sharing that kind of sacred space with people, you want to approach, well, I personally would want to approach it with the same kind of way that I would select a partner, you know, to be with the rest of my life. I just can't imagine just sort of doing it with anyone, you know what I mean? Like, so that's the thing. That's why I'm really more of a solitary person, just in nature, in everything. I just like to do it on my own. So yeah. But anyway, I did have that book. I'll have to rebuy it because it's obviously gone now. But yeah, I've made everything in here, from like the corn dollies to the love simmering potpourri. Aww. And all the different like candles. Yeah, I think spell banners. Yep, done that. Magic mirror. Yes, I made that. Oh look, and I've even added my own little things in there. So this is definitely my copy. Yeah. Just had a quick little flip through, and one of the ways that they're suggesting to make candles here, I would not do it that way. It is not a good idea to use a crayon as a colorant. I think before the internet became such a thing, it probably would have been okay to do that, you know, just kind of make do with what little you know, resources you had around you. But if you can get the proper ingredients that are going to be safe to use and predictable in their results, then, you know, I think you should. Right, moving right along. I haven't come across any other books by these authors. It's The Wheel of the Year, Myth and Magic Through the Seasons by Teresa Morey and Jane Bryson. And even though this is really, you know, Northern Hemisphere orientated, I suppose. It was published in 1997. Yeah, it's a British book. I loved the fact that there was a Wheel of the Year for the Southern Hemisphere in here. And it had Australian animals, and that just was so cool. I've actually seen this image online a lot. I think it's been scanned at one point. It's just sort of doing the rounds, but it's by these two ladies, Teresa Morey and Jane Bryson. And yeah, it was quite a good book. You know, it suggested that you keep your own diary and you you know, track the seasons throughout the year in your local area. Gave you advice on meditations that were important for that particular season. It touched on the chakra system. Yeah, and just sort of told you a lot about the different Sabbats, which was really cool. So this was probably another one of my really foundational books. I honestly don't even know where it came from. I don't know how I even got this book. It's kind of a mystery, but yeah, I really loved it. I'd be very upset if it got damaged or lost. These are probably the books that I would, not literally, but you know, come back inside a burning house to get, because they're just so special. Now, it wouldn't be a list of awesome books if it didn't include something by Starhawk. I've got a number of her books, but Spiral Dance is still my all-time favourite. Just the goddess tradition, so beautiful. I just absolutely love the different exercises, the different I mean, so many exercises in here. Like, I think this is probably really foundational for me in the sense of just working with energy, probably more than anything by Scott Cunningham, even though he was very, very influential in that sense. But yeah, I found this really inspired that sort of sense of the, you know, mysteries for me. I just loved it. And she's such an incredible, engaging author. I didn't bring it out with me, but there's some books and some novels that she's written as well. The Fifth Sacred Thing is probably one of my other favourite books, like a, you know, novel. That's beautiful. And then I think she followed it up with Walking to Mercury, something like that. And there's a third one that has just sort of come out in the last couple of years. But anyway, Starhawk is incredible. That name won't be unfamiliar to anyone, I don't think. And I just really admire that she's so involved in permaculture movement, that she was, she's such an activist. Like, I just find that so inspiring. That's where I'm personally drawn to in terms of how my sort of spiritual practice brings itself out into the world. I'm far more likely to you know, donate money to a cause or try and get involved somehow than I am to do a candle spell, if that makes sense. I like to be sort of hands-on as much as I can, and really trying to fight the injustice that we see so much. It doesn't always work. It doesn't always work like that. Sometimes I just watch a show, but you know what I mean. Okay, I've got one other book by this author, and I don't think this book is in print anywhere at all anymore. I've actually searched for it since because I was trying to find if she had some other books. She's mainly now, she does just fiction author. But Yasmin Galenorn, this is Embracing the Moon. It was published by Llewellyn in 1998. Feels like it'd be longer ago than that, but it's not. But this was also one of those really fantastic everything books. You know, you could turn in here to be like, oh, color associations and you know, times of day, like astrological correspondences and beautiful meditations. Oh, she has got a book of meditations that is just so exquisite, and I actually desperately would like to read one out as a video, but I'm worried I'll get pinged for a copyright notice, because I don't really think you're meant to do that. If anyone knows if that's actually okay and I'm just like imagining there being a problem, like, please let me know, because I would just love to do that, and kind of in like an ASMR sense, really slowly, and actually do it as a proper guided meditation for some time, not like my usual speed, or you know what I mean. A lot of the chants and the invocations that she uses in here, they're still one of the first things that comes to my mind whenever I do actually do something, any sort of like formal practice. It's ingrained in my memory now. It just comes to the surface really easily. The basics about runes. See, this is another like working book. It's only in pencil, but you can tell where I've been sort of studying and doing all that kind of stuff. Little bits about herbalism, household magic. Oh, I love this. I love this book so much. Really good information about love spells too. So this was probably at a time when, magic became like popular. It was the thing to do. I think the craft had probably just come out, sort of thing. So I think a lot of people were trying to sort of search for information on love spells, and probably getting themselves way in over their head with that type of stuff. So this was much more moderate, like, this is not what you want to do. This is, right, like the ethical way that you would actually cast for that kind of stuff, and more self-focused. But yeah, if you can find a copy of this book, like, I've looked on eBay since, because I honestly wouldn't mind having a backup just in case anything ever happened. Yeah, check it out because it's just, yeah, such a good book. It's definitely a beginner's book or like an intermediate book. If you've been practicing for a long period of time, you probably wouldn't need a lot of the information that's in there, but for me at that time in my life, it was just like, it's perfect. And then last but not least is Laurie Cabot's Power of the Witch. And this was great for me because while I do have a really open mind and I do tend to, you know, believe in what I have felt and experienced. You okay, Herm? I just let my dog outside. It doesn't look very well. Can you go outside, buddy? No? Where'd you go? Here you go. You go out too, Coco? You want to hang with me? Yeah, my dog is not well. Poor little guy. Poor little Herm Gem. Yeah, so while I am sort of very open to things, I also do like to know what kind of grounding there is in science, what grounding there is in physics, because I think it's all cool to be like all like woo-woo, but I actually find a lot of magic just in the laws of the natural universe, in physics, in what we're starting to learn about our world and space. Like, I find that to be truly magical. So in no way does science discovering the reason for something impact my enjoyment or affect my spiritual faith or practice. It actually enhances it. It makes me feel just so much more sort of validated in, not that I even need to be validated to, you know what I mean. Do you know what I mean? I'm not sure I can really articulate it, but yes. So if you have, being a witch, being a pagan, being any of these kind of, you know, terms that we use for any sort of earth-based spiritual practice, if people are aware that you know, have that practice, it's kind of like if they're also aware that you're vegetarian or vegan, it becomes like all that they want to talk to you about, even, you know, you don't necessarily want to talk to them about it, it's just your personal thing. It's good to have some ammo in your back pocket, you know, in case you ever need it, if someone's really challenging you on things and they're one of those people that just won't sort of let it go, they really want to, you know, quiz you on stuff. This is a good book, even though it is quite old now. I mean, perhaps there's you know, more up to date. Yeah, 1989. So it's hardly like cutting edge science. But yeah, I did find this really, really helpful at the time. But I must admit, I haven't read it since I was about 16 or 17. So this is all going by my memories of these books. Yep. Okay, well, I'm going to actually look and see if My Witchy History is a tag on YouTube. If it is, I'll sort of join the party in terms of like my kind of foundational books and what was really crucial to me as I was, you know, finding my way on this path. And if it's not, I encourage you to join into this tag, My Witchy History. And yeah, I would love to hear about your witchy history, however you interpret that to be, whatever you want to talk about. I would like to do a few other videos on this topic because otherwise it would be an hour and that's just unwatchable for most people, you know, with our busy lives and stuff. So yeah, I think next I might talk about music. Yeah, music. Okay, well, you take care until I speak to you next time. I wish you the most lovely of days, weeks, months, whatever it ends up being, and I'll see you again real soon. Okay,